I'm Tad Stones, producer and director of Hellboy Animated, and I'm on Variant Edition.
Welcome to episode 56 of your source for comic book news and culture.
This is Variant Edition.
And we're going to hell, boy! Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick, and welcome to a special episode of Variant Edition. Next Tuesday sees the release of the newest animated Hellboy feature, Blood and Iron. And to celebrate, we've gone to hell!
Now, before you go and start worrying about our eternal souls, never fear. We're bringing you an episode devoted to the one and only Hellboy.
That's right. Back at the New York Comic Con, I had the chance to chat with Hellboy animated director Tad Stones, and coming up, he's going to fill us in on exactly how Hellboy came to animation.
We also had a chance to see the new Hellboy Blood and Iron at an advanced screening, so we've got a review coming up later in the episode as well.
And we take a look at the new Hellboy comics and a special statue review.
So sit back, relax, and prepare for a solid dose of brimstone-flavored comic culture.
So like we said in the opening of the show, back in February, the New York Comic Con held a special advanced screening of Hellboy Blood and Iron. After the screening, I had the chance to talk a little with Hellboy animated producer and director Tad Stones. Alright, I'm Nick, and this is Tad Stones. We're here at the Variant Edition booth at the New York Comic Con on Saturday. Just got done with the awesome preview of the new Hellboy animated movie.
Oh, thank you.
So how has it been working on the Hellboy animated films?
It's been great, other than too short, and that the first two films were really done in an overlapping fashion. So the storyboard people went right on to the storyboards of the second film while we were still dealing with background painting and color on the first one.
Right.
So that, there's a little learning curve between the two movies. I think the second movie's more successful at capturing Mike Mignola's style. But if we get to go ahead to do a third one, that's really going to benefit from what we learned.
From the combination of doing both those films.
Exactly.
And
the most fun, of course, was working with Mike right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Working out the stories with him.
So how involved with the Hellboy animated movies was Mike Mignola?
Very involved. And right from the beginning, he and I wrote the stories together. And then really through treatment, he, actually, from the start of the process, he gave notes on everything. He didn't do any drawing for the film, but as he's talking about story, he's so visual, he'll start talking about color choices and composition or a movie reference at the very beginning. So we worked out the stories together, we did treatments together, and then on the scripts he gives notes, and that includes dialogue notes, or some of the lines are his lines.
Right.
And I'm quite proud when he says that we went back and forth so much, it's hard to remember whose idea was what, because we really, again, tried to capture what he does.
All right, so Mike Mignola, obviously, his involvement with these films has to be there, because he's Mike Mignola, like the father of Hellboy.
Yeah.
So how did you get mixed up in this, with everything with Hellboy?
Yeah. I was a huge fan. I was reading Mike's stuff, without picking him out as a specific artist, saw his stuff, when I was working for Marvel, and then at Cosmic Odyssey that he did for DC is when he really started down the road that he's on now of simplifying, exaggerating, really getting that Kirby influence, back into it. So I was reading Hellboy, for the very first, John Byrne X-Men comic where he had, the 6 pages, whatever it was, in the center. When I was at Disney, and I was there for like 29 years, I actually pitched it as a primetime show.
Really?
So luckily they said no, because they were, after the next Simpsons, because otherwise we'd have, Hellboy, and you'd go to Disneyland and look, Mommy, I want my picture with Rasputin.
Yeah, who does that?
I said, so I kept, Hellboy from being there next to Tinkerbell, although Mike said he would pay for that. When I left Disney, I needed to do some sample scripts just to show around town, some fresh stuff, and so I called up Mike and said, can I do a couple of Hellboy specs? Because Guillermo was starting pre-production on the live-action movie, and he was already talking animation. I thought, well, here's a chance to get my foot in the door. What it really did was get me working very closely with Mike on what's Hellboy's voice, what kind of stories could we tell. And I treated him like a network. I pitched him premises, he picked the ones he wanted, I went into outline, and he gave script notes. So when we came time to do the series, when it came time to do the movies, that whole oh, here's the creator and here's the director, I hope you guys get along. That was gone. We already knew that we were the team to work together, and I was very pleased that Mike was putting my name out there as the guy he wanted in charge of animation, no matter where the animation ended up.
Well, that's great. So it's like when you two finally combine, you just really hit the ground running.
It's like Power Twins, activate. It really has really been a fun time. I'll never have an unspoiled Hellboy story because part of Mike's process is to tell people the story, and so that's blown for me, but it's a good trade-off.
Nice. All right. And have you noticed that there was, like, I don't know, maybe a bonus for the fact that people went from working on the storyboards from the first one right into the second one? Anything with, like, continuity? Do you think that helped at all, or was it just more of a strain?
It was a learning curve for them in that in a normal animated film, you'd often use like a dramatic upshot. If you're going to see Superman, you always get the hands on the hips and the chin up in the air and the camera's down low. Mike hardly ever draws an upshot, so we kind of, for the most part, took that out of our regular movie making and saved it for certain key moments. But that was an example of really studying the comic and how he does the composition. Instead of putting characters in the center of the screen or the panel, he puts them off to the side. So we did the same thing. So I don't know how much of that comes across. I'm sure no one scene really stands out as being his style, but the sum total makes a difference.
And I mean, all in all, from my opinion, I'm pretty sure most people like the success rate of these. Everybody kind of sees, like, it's not exactly like Mignola's work, obviously, but it does have, like, that spirit and that heart to it. Like, it fits with the Hellboy stories.
Well, that's exactly what we hope to accomplish. I mean, it was part of the deal not to do Mike's style in the animated movies for a variety of reasons about licensing, and Mike didn't want to. Mike wanted to, he likes the distance between him and live action, obviously, in the video game and in the cartoons. What cracks me up is on the internet, you'll get reviews that people are saying, why can't this look like his style, all the way to they perfectly captured Mike Mignola's style in the animated film, and it's like, what comics are you reading?
It's hard to please everybody.
Yeah, but I really went after the mood and the atmosphere.
And it definitely came through in these films, both of them.
Great.
So Hellboy Blood and Iron. Saw the preview here, which was actually the entire movie and not just clips or an advanced trailer. When are we seeing a street date for this?
I'm pretty much taking it across the country with a 16mm projector. I'll be coming to your comic shop. No, actually, Cartoon Network is going to be showing it early in March. So check local listings for that. And it'll be on DVD a lot sooner than this one was. May 8th is our street date.
Wow.
So it's also got a lot of extras because we got such great reaction to the extras on the first one. So it's got behind the scenes stuff, more interviews with Mike. It's got an alternate ending.
Wow.
It's got a short subject that has never been broadcast. And it's got another comic book in it too.
Oh, any more like packages like how Best Buy had, you get Sword of Storms and you get the awesome little Gentle Giants figures?
As a matter of fact, I was just told this morning that Best Buy was so excited about how well that went that instead of usually with a second film they'd order fewer, they're actually ordering more and they want to work out a similar kind of deal.
Wow.
So
that's great. You can't argue with good results like that. If they want to order double the amount or whatever, that's awesome.
And there's plenty of merchandising. I was down in the booth with Inkworks, who do the trading cards, and they've got a selection of original art that they've been putting in with the cards, and including all sorts of Mike Mignola original art. So
awesome.
It's just usually put out a video like this and it goes out and it disappears, and this has gotten incredible support, and especially from the fan community.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to see more of that.
Hey, me too.
So this is the Hellboy Blood and Iron review, and we both saw it at the advanced screening at the New York Comic Con.
Yeah, we went there, they had like a really nice setup, and for some reason people just weren't showing up because it was like too early.
And there were free t-shirts.
Yeah, you get a Left Hand to Doom. You're never going to see a Left Hand to Doom anywhere, but I wanted to sleep, so yeah.
Con variant, right here. I'm wearing it. You can't have one.
Just like me, the shirt's a mistake, but anyway. Yeah. Blood and Iron. I really liked it.
Amazing movie. I thought it was actually better than the first one, and I really liked the first one.
Like, Sword of Storms was a really good story, but Blood and Iron is, like, bare bones, like, when it comes down to it, like a Hellboy story.
It was clearly a more focused on the Hellboy story, and of course with Dr. Brooms. Yes, Dr. Brooms' backstory was in there. He wasn't dead. It was good times.
Well, yeah, it's like, Ted Stones has stated that, in the animated universe, it doesn't really happen, how the comics or the movie goes.
But
so
some people at home are going, but he died in the movie.
Nah, whatever. And I mean, the fact that you get John Hurt to come and do the voice for this character. Amazing. I'm sitting there like waiting for something to jump out of his animated chest. Didn't happen, but that man is like such a good actor and an even better voice actor. Well, not even better, but I mean, he's a good voice actor.
No, I enjoy his work as a voice actor.
It's just all like creepy and raspy. But anyway, Blood and Iron.
What can't you say that's good about this movie? There's nothing that's not good about this movie. You got a blood goddess. You've got some harpies.
The harpies, in my opinion, like I saw this movie, and there's like these two haggardy old women who are up to no good, and they're like casting spells, and shit's gonna hit the fan because of these two broads. But you find out towards the end, they're not really women. They're harpies, and they're like short, fat women, but they got these weird wings. They're so cool, but seriously, like the best visual interpretation of harpies since like Jason the Argonauts.
My personal favorite was when the Iron Maiden becomes a big demon thing that Hellboy.
The Iron Maiden was nice, which goes into like. I don't know, it's kind of a contrast between, like, Sword of Storms, which was, like, an Oriental-themed story, and, like, those kind of characters drove that story. But in this one, it's really, like, even the backstory to it, to all these, like, women being killed in this town, is really kind of brutal what they do. And they go on about, like, all the amounts of blood that they need and all this other crap. Just like, wow, these souls are really kind of tormented from the life that they had. That's why this house that they're at is freaking, crawling with ghosts.
And on that note, also probably some of the best handled animated ghosts in a cartoon I've seen in a while. Since, like, like Ghostbusters kind of made him goofy. This kind of made him straight up solid ghost. Good phantom things walking around, gliding around, and causing a little bit of havoc, but not too much.
Yeah, it was more that like creepy eerie factor. Which, I mean, another thing about this, it had more of that, like, spook house feel.
Oh, absolutely.
It was, like, dark corridors everywhere. It wasn't like, oh, Abe and Liz are still stuck on that rock, fighting that thing that just doesn't realize that if it stays underwater, it's not going to be on fire anymore. I mean, this was, like, if you had problems with Sword of Storms, this movie is definitely, like, above and beyond any problems you had with
this
that
is a
movie.
straight-up Hellboy story. So every comic book fan that's out there, or even if you were just introduced to Hellboy via, the Hellboy movie that came out, this is definitely right up your alley.
Yeah, and just, like, an amazing job by the cast, everybody who did the voice acting, great jobs. The animation style is great. The way that they went about their animation, so action-packed, it was just great. If you guys don't like it,
you're dumb.
Yeah, you're like this guy. He apparently is.
I'm apparently dumb. Or
Mike, over here.
Yeah,
okay.
Hi.
But anyway, so Blood and Iron, if you were disappointed by Sword of Storms, check out Blood and Iron. If you like Sword of Storms, you're in for a treat.
And of course, you have to buy this DVD, because if you don't buy it, they're not going to make any more of the animated series.
And you've all read his blog about that bitchin' story they got coming up.
Good things going on. So buy the DVD, buy the special edition that comes with whatever it is that the special edition will come with, because there's always a special edition that comes with awesome
They are
stuff.
doing those again. I'm not
the
sure.
bust-ups?
I'm not sure if it's going to be the bust-ups, but I know that they have like a little package deal.
Oh, nice. Well, pick up the package deal. It's a little bit more, but if you get on the first day, it'll probably be cheaper, as per usual. So yeah, pick it up. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, and all the other greatest ratings I can possibly give this movie.
Yep.
Hey everybody, I just read this new series from Virgin Comics, issue number 1 of Gamekeeper, written by Andy Diggle, and story written by Guy Ritchie, the director, who knew he could do comics just as great as his movies. So basically starts off with your Gamekeeper, obviously, and he's around in his estate up in Scotland, and he finds this runaway. And the runaway, wants to look for a job or something. He's desperate. He's a runaway. So the Gamekeeper, Brock is his name, says, all right, we'll check with my employer and see what we can do for you. So he takes him back to his employer, and when his employer decides to keep him around and hire him, that's when you find out Brock has some history, and it comes back to kind of haunt him. And later on in the comic, you find out that the runaway is basically a setup man for mercenaries that come in, and a fire is started on the estate, and it's a diversion, and the mercenaries go to the owner of the estate, basically looking for some kind of file, whatever it is, they don't really reveal, and then he pays with his life, and he's dead. So basically, Brock comes back, and it leaves you off where Brock is gonna kill the guys, and some real badass action. So stay tuned for the next issue, because it looks really good. The art's amazing. Keep up the great work. I mean, it's some good art, so check it out. Gamekeeper number 1.
Hey guys, to add to our Hellboy hullabaloo in this episode, I'm reviewing a couple Hellboy comics. First one I got is it's like a small, very small graphic. It's Hellboy animated, the Black Wedding. Now, it's not your regular Hellboy. It doesn't really follow the stories of any of the, like, Mike Mignola works, but it's taking the animated style, the animated characters, and essentially, like, what the animated movie's story follows. So it just goes, like, with that, but it has really no continuity with, like, what happened in Sword of Storms or, you know, what's going to happen in Blood and Iron. It's just another story with that awesome style with these great characters. And Black Wedding, it's your typical Hellboy. You know, they're in, like, a European town. Things are going on. Things go down. There's, like, this big, like, witch gathering trying to bring, you know, this ancient witch back who has to, like, marry... it's not, like, the devil, but it's, like, this big demon thing. They take this goat skull and, like, light a candle on it and all this stuff goes down. Really enjoyable story. But the story that I really liked in this graphic is, like, a really short story towards the back, written by our good friend, Tad Stones. It's called Pyramid of Death. And all it is, it's, like, little Hellboy. Back in, like, the 40... Yeah, it had to be, like, the 1940s when this was going on. And it's him still as a kid. He's still got the horns because he's not trying to, like, blend into people. He's got a bit of, you know, chin stubble and all that crap. And it's just him listening to the radio, listening to, like, a Lobster Johnson serial, which was great because the whole thing was this, like, pharaoh-looking guy with a skull. He looked like the Crimson Ghost. It was great. This guy plans to blow up the city using, like, this nuclear pyramid thing that he's got. And Hellboy kind of gets caught up in, like, listening to this old-timey radio serial and kind of goes out throughout the Air Force Base and kind of has his own little adventure. And he sees something going on where they're trying to bring back this mummy to find out its secrets about how they made the pyramids. They made this device so that it could, like, reanimate it temporarily and, you know, have it talk to him. Long story short, Hellboy kind of screws all that up. Like, the mummy's giving out all these secrets, and bam, he screws it up because he thought that that was, like, you know, the evil guy from the Lobster Johnson show. And that one was short, but it was really cool to see Hellboy just as a little kid and how he lived, you know, on this Air Force base. I think more stories like that would be really cool, but Black Wedding, still great. If you guys were into the animated films, if you're into Hellboy, definitely check it out.
Spider-Man Fairy Tales, number 1 of 4. This is a new little story section here. It's a 4-issue comics art. It's got weird art. It's got an interesting story. Basically, what we have is Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood being Mary Jane, delivering a basket full of goodies when she's, you know, attacked by these creature kids who want her candy. Yeah, I didn't follow that either, but whatever. Spider-Man shows up and saves the day. And it's not Peter Parker's Spider-Man, even though later on in the time meeting you kind of get the feeling that it might be Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but it turns out it's not. Anyway, so Mary Jane goes to see Aunt May, who's not feeling well in the woods, and she comes across the big bad wolf, and there's a chase scene, and she gets away, and then, you know, it's the whole, like, oh, Aunt May, what big teeth you have, sort of thing. And then, you know, big bad wolf chase scene inside, a little bit of a scuffle, and then Peter Parker with an axe comes down the chimney. And together they raise the axe and defeat the wolf. Oh, that's so cute. But the important part is at the end, because the last page has what looks to be a whole bunch of, you know, Spider-Man's old school enemies, you know, all of his classics, basically the Sinister Six, are coming out of the woodwork to go after them. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with this. So read it. It's not that bad. It's pretty good. You can give this to, like, a kid to get him to read. This would be a good youth read. If you're a big Spider-Man fan, pick it up because it's Spider-Man. If you're not a big Spider-Man fan, don't worry about it. I thought it was good. I'm going to buy it.
All right, I've got some newer and truer Hellboy material for you guys. I read the first 2 issues of Hellboy Darkness Calls. Now, granted, I'm really far off in the Hellboy timeline. Like, the last thing I read was, you know, Seed of Destruction, like everybody else when the movie came out. Still like Hellboy, just don't really know all, you know, the details into the plot and characters and, like, connections between stories, which is kind of throwing me off from Darkness Calls, but still, the story for this is great. It's Hellboy somewhere. Apparently he lost a Samaritan during something. Like I said, a bunch of things that I don't know because I haven't, you know, read up on issues. But the gist of it is there's, like, all these witches in England at, like, Stonehenge, trying to form and, like, get their old, like, witch sisters back from the dead and to, like, form, like, this reuniting thing of witches. And Hellboy's there, and they see him as, like, a cousin, and they want him in on it. But, you know, Hellboy doesn't want any part in it. He's like, screw you, you guys want trouble, I'll give you trouble, and all that stuff, just being a big brute about it. But there's a really, really, really cool scene in issue 2, I believe it was, where the witches are bringing back some of their dead sisters, but apparently there's like a dead witch hunter buried in with them, so when they tried to bring back their sisters, he comes back to life too, and saying like, you'll never escape, God's wrath, and you did what you did and you gotta pay for it, how dare you try to come back from the grave. So this guy's come back from the grave too, which was really cool, because it's like, this guy's never gonna give up trying to fight this thing, despite the fact that, he's dead, and when they try to bring the witches back, he'll come back too to keep them in their place. And it was also funny to see this guy attacking Hellboy, because he's like, oh, you have the witch's blood in you, you're one of them. So he tries fighting him. Actually does some pretty decent damage to Hellboy's arm. But I just thought that was great to see this guy who's all like, fighting for good, when Hellboy is too, but just, looks are deceiving. But anyway, rest of the story is great. You got this weird little character, but he's like half iguana from like the waist down. Have no idea why, but he's just like that little conniving little bastard who's just, he's up to something. He's that typical like rat character, which was great. And issue 2 ends where Hellboy gets thrown into yet again another dimension, and he enters it saying crap, which is great because that's the kind of character that he is. And apparently he's going up against like an army of the undead. That I'm looking forward to see, because it's just Hellboy, no bullets, and a big army of the dead. So Hellboy Darkness Calls. If you're a Hellboy fan, you're definitely gonna pick it up. If not, definitely check it out, even if you're not caught up on the issues, because the story is still good, still solid to follow through.
The Initiative New Warriors #1, a new comic book line from an old comic book line. Now, I never read Old New Warriors. Old New Warriors? Is that what we would say? Yeah, Old New Warriors. Never read it. But this is the first time I'm picking up New Warriors. And it's a great book. The art's nice. The story is alluring, I guess I'd say, because it's actually going to make me interested in reading these characters. What you have here is you've got a bunch of mutants. All right, hold on. I'm going to stop right there and say, all right, there's a capture scene with the Grey Gargoyle, and they own him. And then there's another capture scene where they have this other villain tied up with spider webbing. Not Peter Parker per se, but there's a spider webbing of some sort. Says the cop says, this looks like the real stuff, and it's even disintegrating like the real stuff. Anyway, from what I'm gathering, it's a bunch of mutants who seem to have access to technology, but they aren't mutants anymore. They're part of the whole House of M. They're no longer mutants. And remember Beak, the really ugly Beak guy who looked like a bird and was just really, really hideous? Evidently, he's a good-looking guy. And this girl Sophie used to have wings too, but now she doesn't because of the whole M-Day thing. But regardless, they seem to have a bunch of technology, and they're going to use this technology to fight, all the bad so that the good can survive. Did that show up on camera?
Huh? I didn't hear it.
Okay. So they're going to use this technology to, defeat these bad guys. They are going beyond the whole, Tony Stark says S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't stand for this, and we're going to catch these outlaws, and we're going to stop them from doing what they're doing. But at the same time, they're basically kind of like their own S.H.I.E.L.D. It's these guys who protect New York, but at the same time, they don't have powers. They're just using technology that they have at their They're just using technology that they have at their disposal in order to take down these guys. They don't have any powers. And I kind of like that whole feel. It brings you back to Batman in a way, but not as cool as Batman, but an interesting story, and I like to see where it goes.
And just in time for the new movie, Fantastic Four, Rise of Silver Surfer, comes out issue #1 of Silver Surfer Requiem. Now, this was a really good issue. It starts off like any other normal Straczynski book. Starts off strong. The art's amazing. It's all painted. Silver Surfer basically comes to Earth and he's surfing around, and he finally makes his way to the Baxter Building where he sees the Fantastic Four, and he goes up to Reed Richards and says, I need to talk to you. It's something really important. And, he asks Ben and Johnny to leave, and Sue can stay because, she's the wife. So he figures that's the polite thing to do. So they talk to him, and Ben and Johnny walk off, and they're kind of like, what was that about? That seems strange. So basically Silver Surfer and Reed Richards have their meeting, and when Johnny and Ben come back later, they find out that something was wrong with Silver Surfer. And the armor that Galactus gave him when he first made him into Silver Surfer, is finally deteriorating, and Silver Surfer is dying, and he has hours to live. So basically he went to Reed Richards thinking he was the only person that could see what's wrong with him, why these side effects have been happening, and if he could even possibly save him. And Reed Richards just can't save him because the technology of his suit basically is so far advanced that he doesn't know how to figure it out. So basically he says he's sorry to Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer, says thanks for everything you can do, and they're like, what are you going to do? He basically says, I don't know, I'm going to go visit some places that mean a lot to me, because this is like my adopted home, so I think I'll go to my first home. So when he goes off and basically leaves you, whether or not is he going to survive or not, is he going to try figuring out another way of staying alive, and you're going to have to read the next issue to find out. So
Green Lantern number 20. This is going to be, I think, one of the best Green Lantern comics out there at the moment. What we're dealing with is Star Sapphire and Hal Jordan are fighting, and they kind of go into the whole back history of Star Sapphire, and that's this parasitic little sapphire stone, and whoever it lodges onto becomes the next Star Sapphire. And there's this whole alien race who, to them, the Star Sapphire is, it's the pink light of love, and the Green Lantern has a green light, and the Sinestro Corps have a yellow light of fear and courage and bravery and boldness and everything else there. And then you've got the Yellow Lantern, which is all about fear, and then this pink one, which is all about love. And the aliens kind of decide, we've been focusing way too much on the pink of the spectrum. We need to get them all, and then we'll be unstoppable. So there's 4 more unlit pillars in the artwork there, and I'm just like, I never even thought about expanding the color spectrum for Green Lantern. I like to see where the story is going, and other than the green and the yellow and the pink, I want to see, what's a blue lantern like? What's an aqua? What's an indigo one look like? What's the orange and the yellow? And, well, not the yellow, but the red. Like, what do the different lanterns do exactly? And how do you focus our energies and everything else? The other reason why this is a good comic is because it kind of goes into more of the mythology of the Sinestro Corps, the Yellow Lantern Corps. And it's all about, embracing the fear and climbing into this egg thing where apparently the original Yellow Lantern guy, got his power from fear and he eats people, and just a really fun story. I'd say pick it up. If you've never read Green Lantern, we're only on issue 20. You can go back and read them all. Pick up Green Lantern Rebirth. Just Green Lantern's the man. You need to buy this comic.
Hey everyone, today's our special Hellboy episode. So we figured, with every other movie that comes out, animated or otherwise, they always have a nice line of stuff, whether it be action figures, busts, or statues. And Hellboy is no exception to that rule. So, I got Eddie here with me, going to be talking about some Hellboy stuff. Now these were the big line, once Sword of Storms came out, everything was just Hellboy animated, and they started doing a bunch of them. They got these 2 statues, they got this Hellboy bust, which is really, really nice. Actually, all these pieces are really nice, but I think they have an Abe Sapien, they have a Kate, they have a Liz coming out in the busts.
Don't forget, they turn.
Oh, yeah. So no matter how you display the base, you can always have them facing however you want them to, because I know some of you collectors, you get some tight corners, and having a movable bust, that's a nice addition. Yeah. But anyway, back to the big 2 that we got here, which I almost just broke his trench coat. Hellboy and Abe Sapien statues. These things are awesome. If Swistak was here, he would have said just that, and I just said it because they are. You look at them, and they're kind of pricey for the size of them. Maybe not Hellboy, but for Abe. But the detailing, the pose, the stylization of it, the action, the dynamics, and just the simple one figure. It's not like they're fighting anything. It's just they're about to do something.
The detail, even in their body movements and stuff, it comes to life.
Exactly. Like the Ape Sapien one really blew me away. I think I even like it more than the Hellboy statue. Just for the pose. They have a nice curve of his spine, very action-driven, like he's going up this rock to do
Well, they both have that kind of similar, action.
Well, yeah, but I mean, with Hellboy, he's got that really big torso. You can't really do much with that.
You can't take away from this, though. The detail on the right hand of Doom is amazing. I mean, look at it. It's just awesome.
It's huge and about to pummel someone or something. Mm-hmm. But both of these pieces, I mean, if you get them, the 2 of them, the way that you can just piece them together like that, they look really, really nice. It's just Hellboy's I got your back, you got mine, let's, go do this. They're so nice. They are so nice. And if you're a fan of the animated series, these really capture, the feel and the look of that show spot on.
And if you can't afford these right away, go for these little guys. These little guys are really detailed and convenient for
I think
space.
this pack of 3 of them are $18, $19, and there's regular PVC figures, no moving parts, but very well sculpted. Paint jobs are good, but it's kind of hard to get a lot of detail on something that's exactly
so little. But they're good for what they are.
Oh yeah, and I mean they're once again they capture the look and feel of the animated movies,
definitely,
and Hellboy in general, just in these little pieces. The only thing that I got a problem with, the Liz Sherman one. She's kind of you're expecting something better. I just don't get it. But
they should have gave her some flames or something to make it...
Or something, yeah. She's just like...
or a different pose.
Yeah.
Then I don't know why I'm here. And am I helping these guys?
Yeah, it's like a big red guy, fishman. But anyway, and for that middle collector who doesn't want something so small and doesn't have the money for something so big, these busts, awesome busts. I have seen. They had them at the New York Comic Con. They had the ape
360.
Yeah, that they do. But all of them just captured, like, the ape bust that I saw, the Kate and the Liz busts. Despite the fact that, like, I don't know, Kate wasn't really the best character in that movie, the bust was really nice. They got, like, the whole hair in front of the eye, like, really stylized, really cool. And, I mean, when we brought these out, I was looking at them, and honestly, I would think if they took the face of that Hellboy bust and put on the statue...
I agree.
It'd be, like, 10 times better. The face is nice, but he's a little too Charlie Brown for my taste. It's like, meh, with the circle eyes. This one, though, that's a mean bastard.
Think about it.
Right,
he's running and taking charge. He's got to have his game face.
Yeah,
on.
but I mean,
no, I think he should have that face. I agree with you.
I mean, it still looks nice, but there should have been more emphasis into it.
That's what I mean. Like, it just shows he's really going after the guy. It's intimidation.
Or maybe that was their plan, to make you, have to buy both.
Yeah, so it's always about merchandising.
Yeah, merchandising. But yeah, so to celebrate the upcoming release of Hellboy Blood and Iron, we got these awesome figures that came out because of Sword of Storms. Hopefully they do some more. I think they will. They should. I'm pretty sure these did well. I mean,
I think they should definitely make more in these sizes.
Oh yeah,
they're beautiful.
Oh yeah, the bigger scale statues, and I mean, if they could do something where the bases interlock, I mean, these aren't supposed to, but they fit nicely. They don't really
some
bump
like
into
battle
each other.
scene or something between Hellboy and one of the villains would be just awesome.
And I don't know. I don't think they had any plans on it, but a nice animated style Lobster Johnson. That would be a pretty bitchin' statue.
That would be key.
Hell yeah. Alright, so yeah, Variant Edition, having these awesome Hellboy collectibles. This is our Hellboy episode to celebrate the release of Hellboy Blood and Iron. And, like we said, these are great pieces. If you're a fan of Hellboy and you don't have any Hellboy items in your collection, these are a great place to start.
Alright, that's it for Variant Edition.
It was a pretty cool episode. I'm glad that we're bringing back our interviews. Kevin's working hard to get all the interviews we already have ready. And we're heading over to Wizard World Philly next week, so I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot more to collect dust.
And remember, if you like Hellboy and want more animated movies, the only way they're going to make them is if you buy Hellboy Blood and Iron.
That's right. They're going to make the decision to make more DVDs after they see how well the second DVD sells. And if you have been reading Tad Stone's blog, you want to see the next one.
So this coming week is a pretty big one. We've got the Hellboy DVD on Tuesday, then Friday through Sunday there's Heroes Con and Wizard World. It's a good week for comic fans.
Speaking of Wizard World, we'll be covering it from start to finish, so if you see us, come on over and say hello.
As always, there are quite a few ways to watch us: iTunes, Vio, YouTube, and Google Video. But if you want the best quality video and the quickest downloads, head over to VariantEdition.com.
You'll never beat my used car salesman.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, that's it for Variant Edition. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
I was hoping you were going to chat. Into animation.
We also had a chance to see the new Hellboy Blood and Iron in an advanced screening. So we've got our review coming up later in the episode. That was a car horn.
All right.